So in this video I'm going to talk about what gets me out of bed in the morning and what compels me to keep going in what can only be described as a rather precarious and often absurd career. That said, I really wouldn't want to do anything else. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think I could. Essentially, I believe that painting chose me. In the second part of this video, I'm going to explain how and why I painted this picture here of the seaside town of Cromer in Norfolk. Right, here we go then. Call it a motivation or call it a muse. These are the things that keep me returning time and time again. Well, to begin with, let's have a look at one of my sketchbooks. I've got stacks of them, and when I look through, I find the things that appeal to me most aren't the big things in life, they're the small things, the ordinary things and the commonplace. This is what fascinates me. That said, however, I accept the fact that it doesn't fascinate everybody else, and I've decided it's my journey to change their mind. The trouble with the ordinary is that there's so much of it. We look and experience the same people and places every day, so we can no longer notice them. They are commonplace, and that very quality can make them become devalued. Well, in my work, I like to celebrate the ordinary things because I believe that cherishing these small things in our lives is one of the few ways that we can be happy. I also believe that the simple pleasures are universal. No matter where I've been in the world, it always adds up to more or less the same thing. And once you get over language and custom, all cultures have a deep history of appreciating the simple pleasures in life. Only these things are often buried under a carapace of modern living. Of course, I'm not the only artist who's walked down this path. You only have to look at the domestic visions of Stanley Spencer or the near monochromatic genius that is L.S. Lowry. Yes, I'm a great fan of both these painters. Anyway, back to me, and I'm going to talk about this painting here and how my thoughts and processes brought it about. Now, this is a seaside town called Cromer in Norfolk, and I visited a while back to see if I could try and pull a picture together. Now, when I first arrived, I did this quick sketch here. It's above a cliff, and if any artist visits Cromer, they tend to do this as a painting. For me, it felt a little bit too distant, and I couldn't quite get in touch with it, so I abandoned that. The second view I chose was this architectural view of the town. It was all right, but it wasn't really working for me, and overall I just got fed up with the whole thing. So I bought a bag of fish and chips and sat on the beach. Interestingly, the place I sat was where the word Cromer is written in this sketch. Anyway, once I'd finished the fish and chips and the scraps were snatched by the seagulls, I decided to get my watercolour pad out and just throw some paint around to see what was going on. After a short time I came up with this, and there was something about it that really appealed to me. I changed a lot of the scale. I do that all the time. For instance, the pier's a lot more beefier than this in real life. So now I was feeling rather enthused, so I thought I'd have another go at it. A bit more detail in, a bit of sky, and see how we get on. Whilst that was going on, I noticed my fellow beachgoers, and once the watercolours were completed, I started noting them down as well. There they all were, all shapes and sizes and all ages, and making the most of what could be potentially a very brief summer. It was all rather lovely. So right now I felt I had enough reference to get back to the studio and put a painting together of my day out in Cromer. So back in the studio, the first thing I do is what I call the bones, which is the structure of it, and I constantly reference those early watercolours. Essentially it's all about them, so I've got to keep that in play. At this stage, I have to bring in my all-important fellow travellers, and I have to keep in mind that though they are all individuals, they are also in small groups, usually family and friend groups. I also tried to keep in mind that some of these people in reality may not actually like each other that much, so I tried to subtly put a little bit of tension here and there. It just helps make it a little bit more real. And now it comes to the painting part. Now I use a rather unusual palette with a limited range of colours. I find this really helps create mood and tonal values. And when I was in Cromer on the day, I noticed that the sea had a bit of mud in it, so I wanted to put that in, and the waves were fairly choppy. And when I went for a paddle, believe me, that water is bitterly cold, so I wanted to portray a little bit of that as well. Now I start painting in the characters. Take particular note of that woman on the far right. She's doing that tiptoe and raise your arms thing that people do when a wave gathers up around your body in cold water. I'm bringing in a few more now and starting to create family groups and such like. Despite all the planning, things at this stage can often change. Characters can be pulled in or pulled out, and composition changed all over the place. Though in this particular instance, things worked out okay. And finally, here's my completed painting of Cromer in Norfolk on an ordinary summer day. As I've mentioned before, I believe that these simple pleasures are the most important ones that we can have, and I'm eternally grateful that with a lot of luck and a bit of hard work, fate has allowed me to be able to sit down and capture them. Yes, most enjoyable. Well, there we are then, my life as an artist. And I have to say, some of those things were a bit of a surprise to me, which probably isn't a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with a bit of mystery here and there. So, in summary, my work, I celebrate the everyday and never underestimate the ordinary. Well, I think that's probably all from me for now. Many thanks for watching, and have a good day.